Is the A's future now? That's next on Curveballs and Changeups, a baseball podcast straight out of Sacramento. I'm Steve Harmon, and this is a podcast for A's fans and baseball fans in general. I played the game. I once hit a Grand Slam home run in an over 30 baseball league. I covered the Bash Brothers A's as a sports writer in the 80s and early 90s. I've been a baseball fan since 1967 when the kid down the block introduced me and my brothers to the game, and my first Major League game was at the Oakland Coliseum in 1969. A note, I'm doing separate episodes now for the A's and the Giants. You can listen to both wherever you can find podcasts. All right, first of all, the A's had their first walk-off win at home in Sacramento yesterday, a 4-3 win over Texas. It was also their first series win at home, and they are now one game below 500 at 12-13, and they've got the lowly Chicago White Sox coming into town for a 3-game set. The A's are actually slowly inching their home record up. Now they're 4-8 after losing 6 of their first 7 at home. Last night it was Jacob Wilson who was the hero, got the game-winning hit. And, it was the first walk-off hit for the A's in Sacramento this year. And Jacob Wilson is also the author of the last walk-off hit in Oakland in September of last year. Just a little trivia. Is Jacob Wilson on his way to a Rookie of the Year campaign? He's hitting .330 with 31 hits, 6th most in the American League. And he just doesn't stop hitting, doesn't stop swinging. In fact, the other night, it was Wednesday night when he took his first 3-ball count. His teammates in the dugout were going wild. And then when he walked for the first time on the very next pitch, his team exploded in the dugout as if he had hit a home run. But yeah, so he is up there to hack away, and he's doing well, hitting .330. Remember, he hit .400 in every stint that he had in the minor leagues. It's only about 280 at-bats total, but it is in his blood. He was hitting second in the lineup yesterday as Brent Rooker took the night off. But I am hoping that manager Mark Kotze makes the move permanent. He is a natural number 2 hitter. He sprays the ball all over the field as suggested by the fact that he does not walk. He hits the ball and it gets it in play. He only has struck out 4 times this year. So he will put the ball in play, and a lot of times he's doing it to the right side. So if you get a runner on second base, you can move him over or get him in. That's the ideal number 2 hitter, especially early in the game. All right, so last night in the game-winning situation, the A's were down 3-2, and they got a little rally going off of Luke Jackson, the closer for the Rangers. Jackson was 7 for 7 in save opportunities for manager Bruce Bochy. Of course, Giants fans will remember that he was really ineffective as a reliever last year, so kind of surprising to see him in a closer spot. And it looked like the old Luke Jackson last night. With 1 out, he walked Max Schumann, who had entered the game as a pinch runner earlier, and drew that 1-out walk, really nice at bat, not biting on the sliders that Luke Jackson has. And then with Schumann on first base, Luis Urias, the number 9 hitter, the guy who has taken over second base now that Max Muncy was sent down to Las Vegas AAA to work on his defense and hitting. Luis Urias is now the guy at second base, and he brings a baseball card behind him. He's a hitter, and he showed it in the 9th when he got a nice line drive single to right center field. Schumann was on his way to third base. It was going to be a first and third situation, except the ball bounced past Leotis Taveras, the center fielder for Texas, and Schumann just kept on going and scored the tying run. Urias winding up at second base on the base hit and RBI. And up came Jacob Wilson, and I think the count was 3 balls and a strike. He was looking for one pitch, and he got it. It was one of Luke Jackson's specialty sliders. It was a specialty in the sense it was right down the middle, and it was special for Jacob Wilson, who had ripped it into right center field for a base hit, and the A's won their first walk-off in Sacramento. This week, we also saw the debut of Nick Kurtz, the big left-handed slugger the A's have put on a fast track. Only 20 games in AAA this year, 32 games total in the minor leagues since he was drafted last year. He got his first appearance. He made his debut on Wednesday. His first at bat, got an RBI single in the first inning, part of a 4-run rally that the A's had on their way to a 5-2 win Wednesday. I was there. Great to be there and to see Kurtz in his debut at bat. He went 0 for 3 in his next 3 at bats, and then yesterday went 0 for 2 before being pinch hit. So he's 1 for 6. And was actually pinch hit for later in the game yesterday by Kotze. Kotze sent up the veteran Miguel Andujar in his place. Kurtz looked a little confused in the dugout, maybe the first time he's ever been pinch hit for. But that's what's going to happen with a rookie. You know, you have a left-handed pitcher out there on the mound. You're going to want the veteran Miguel Andujar to take on those tough lefties. But he is going to be the starting first baseman. He'll get plenty of action, and we'll see how he does at the major league level. The question is it too soon? Is he being rushed up there? We'll see. I did have some observations about his defense. He's come up with accolades as a strong gloved first baseman, but there were 2 plays that raised some eyebrows. They're both pop-ups. And, Sacramento has a treacherous situation out there with the wind, especially early in the season. And so you really can't blame the kid, but it didn't look great when he was when he called for a pop-up on the infield, and he stumbled over the mound and dropped the ball. He was able to get the force out at second base. There was a runner on first base, but it was not a good look. And then later in the 9th inning, another pop-up down the right field line. He went running after it, and the wind just blew it in crazy directions, and he wound up once again falling without making even contact with the ball. So just a little bit of kind of an embarrassing start defensively for him, but I think everybody's looking forward to seeing him get up there regularly as a big left-handed hitter, see what he can do at the major league level. There are so many young studs coming up in this lineup. Tyler Soderstrom, he is leading the majors in home runs with 9, and he keeps on driving in runs. Yesterday he drove in 2 runs on a double against Jacob deGrom. He gave the A's a 2-0 lead to start. He is hitting .292 with 21 ribbies. He's in a 3-way tie for second in the American League in ribbies. And it doesn't look like he's going to stop anytime soon. He's got a nice stroke going and part of the youth movement. He's only 23 years old. Then Lawrence Butler, 24 years old. He's become the power catalyst at the top of the lineup. Hit a leadoff home run Wednesday that got that 4-run first inning rally going. That was a bomb. Went the other way, left center field, 425 feet at least. It was still going when it hit the wall. And at some point, it would be interesting to see if Butler moves more toward the middle of the lineup. Right now, they're not using his speed necessarily when it gets on. So I'm kind of confused about what his role is supposed to be other than to try to get the game going like he did on Wednesday with power. But we'll see. Right now, he's comfortable at the top of the order. And he's sparking the lineup from there. And then there's Shea Langoliers, who was another number 1 draft pick recently. He's 27 years old, so he's still young. He had his first 4-hit game on Wednesday and actually threw out a base runner in this series. That was only the 3rd time that he's caught a runner stealing against a league-leading 26 stolen bases allowed. So that was an issue I addressed in the last episode. We'll see if he improves there. Of course, it always depends on what kind of help you can get from the pitcher and his ability to slow the running game down. Of course, it's not all youth. You got to have veterans to give you a professional at bat and some solid defense. As I said, Luis Urias, the new starting second baseman, had that key hit in that winning rally, and he looks like he's a real stabilizing force on the field. He has some pop, in 1 year he hit over 20 home runs. So maybe you can look for some power even from his bat in the number 9 hole. And then the old veteran Gio Urshela. When I say old veteran, he's a 10-year veteran. He's 33 years old. He's playing third base and started out cold this year, but he seems to be heating up. He's had 5 hits in his last 6 at-bats. And each of those at-bats were really nice approaches. So a lot of them, he's going the other way. He's taking tough pitches and just going and taking what they give him and going the other way for base hits. Raised his batting average to 233. We're still waiting for Brent Rooker really to heat up. Yep, he's got 7 home runs. He's hitting only 233, and he's 3 for his last 17. Seems to be in a little funk. And with runners in scoring positions, he's only 4 for 22, which is a 182 batting average. It's a small sample size, but the only time that he hit cleanup this year, he went 3 for 5 with a home run. Hitting out of the number 2 hole, he's hitting 216. Maybe Kotze will look at that and see what Jacob Wilson does out of the number 2 hole and put Rooker in a more comfortable spot in the lineup, which would, to me, be in the cleanup or at least the 5 spot. And I think Rooker might have some issues hitting number 2 in the lineup. It's just not the right role for him. Too many opportunities where we needed to see the runner moved over from second base when Rooker grounded out sharply to third with no advancement or struck out. So I'm waiting for that to happen. I think it will at some point, sooner or later. And I think everybody knows now that the bullpen is in the middle of a heater. Against Texas, they had 13 scoreless innings. And going back to the last game in Milwaukee, that game that they lost 14-1, they actually had an inning and a third of scoreless pitching there too. So it's 14 and a third straight scoreless innings, only 6 hits allowed, 4 walks, and 15 strikeouts. So we are seeing some good work out of there, but there is the issue of overuse that I am watching closely. I have to say, I was there Wednesday, and I got to see Mason Miller's entrance, and that is a fabulous show. They do a nice job. You know, it is a AAA stadium, and it is very limited, but for what they have, it is a fun entrance for him. It's the light standards turn flaming red, flashing and strobing as he comes on, and the stadium goes dark, and then has the kind of the burning red coming in, indicating the heat that's coming, and it sure was. And he comes up and lights up the board with his 100s, 101s, 102s, and 103s. And he struck out the side to save that game Wednesday, although he did give up a hit to, of all people, Jock Peterson, who was in an 0 for 41 slump to start the season, closing in on some historical territory. But Peterson, apparently he needed a fastball at over 100 miles an hour to get out of the slump, because he took a 101-mile-an-hour fastball and ripped it over J.J. Bleday's head in center field to the wall. He got a double out of it, but only after a replay review showed that he had gotten in just before the tag. But good for Jock Peterson. He got out of the snide and got it off of one of the top closers in all of baseball. All right, well, one thing that's happening for the A's is their starting pitching. It's holding steady, although I've seen some wobbles. First of all, Luis Severino, the ace of the A's, had his best starting performance of the year by any of the A's against Milwaukee in the middle game of that series when they won 3-1. He went 8 innings, 3-hit ball, gave up just the 1 run. I believe he could have gone for a complete game. He was under 100 pitches, I think at 92 pitches at that time. So it's too bad. I'm a proponent of complete games. That's to me an indicator of greatness. But when you have a Mason Miller in the bullpen and a 3-1 lead, you're going to go to him. So I don't begrudge that too much. But what a wonderful outing by Severino against a team that was hot at the plate, the Brewers. He starts tonight at home against the White Sox, and he goes up against Sean Burke, who the A's roughed up in Chicago last week. Burke gave up home runs to Soderstrom and Langoliers. But Burke actually got a win against the Red Sox in his last start and gave up just 1 earned run in 5 innings. The White Sox have lost Their record is 6-19. They've lost 9 of their last 11, and that one win over the Red Sox was one of the 2 that they've won. In the next game, JP Sears will get the second game. He went just 5 innings in his last game. He got the win. He's got a 3-2 record with a 3.21 ERA, which is good, but he's not going very deep in the games. And I'm thinking that he's got to find a way to economize his pitches so that he can go deeper into the games. And maybe it's time to stretch him out. He hasn't gone over. He went over 100 pitches once. He needs to stretch it out. I'm thinking that Kotze is probably waiting for the weather to heat up before he asks pitchers to go much over 100 pitches. But what's happening, though, is with these 5-inning outings, you're asking a lot out of your bullpens. The bullpen is going great now, but there comes a time when they've been asked to do it one too many times, and the overuse will result in not good outcomes. So it's going to be incumbent on the starting pitchers to go deeper in the game. Jeffrey Springs looked lost in his last start against the Brewers. He gave up 5 hits, walked 4 in just 2 1/3 innings, allowed all 6 of those stolen bases in that first inning of that game. He looked like he was being distracted by the runners, but also that he was focused so much on the hitters that the runners ran wild. So it was a real in-between performance for him, looking for him to improve. But, after his first start against Seattle, which was 6 innings of scoreless ball, Springs has given up 14 earned runs in 16 1/3 innings. That's a 7.71 ERA. So he'll have to start turning it around. And so actually it'll be Jeffrey Springs, who starts in the second game of the series. I mistakenly said it was going to be JP Sears. It's Jeffrey Springs on Saturday against the White Sox, and he'll be going up against Jonathan Cannon, who actually was throwing well against the A's in Chicago last time. He had gone 4 1/3 scoreless innings and was taken out, kind of mysteriously, but except that he was at 88 pitches, and then apparently they must have had some kind of pitch count watch on him, and they took him out when he was leading 1-0. Of course, the bullpen wound up blowing it. The A's went on to win that game 3-1. And then it'll be Osvaldo Bido in the series finale against the Chicago White Sox. He actually had a really nice season going up until this week when Texas bombed him for 8 runs on 4 home runs. That just exploded his ERA. It was down really nicely at 2.61 and is now almost double that at 4.85. So he'll see if he can bring it back down in his outing on Sunday against the Chicago White Sox. He'll be up against Davis Martin, who also lost last week to the A's, gave up home runs to Lawrence Butler and J.J. Bleday, and he also lost his last start to the Twins, though he did not give up an earned run. That's how things are going for those poor Chicago White Sox. And then after the White Sox series at home, that closes up the homestand. They go back on the road next week with 4 against Texas in Arlington. That might be a challenge. We'll see how Texas responds after getting beat in Sacramento. And after that, they'll play 3 against Miami. The Marlins there are playing their own brand of exciting youth ball, so that might be an interesting series to watch. And then just looking even further ahead, May has some really intriguing matchups for the A's. In a 9-game stretch from May 9th through the 18th, they have the Yankees at home. That'll close out that homestand. And then they go on the road to face the Dodgers and the Giants. We shall see where the A's are after that stretch of games. We'll know a lot more about how the young players are faring and how their pitching is holding up. So, yeah, I told you I was at the ballpark on Wednesday, and some of the observations I have are that this is a strange stadium to play in right now with the cold and the wind. Right now, of course, later it's going to be the heat, but at this point, and then also the outfield grass. We saw 2 really strange errors by typically sure-handed center fielders in just yesterday's game between the A's and the Rangers, first it was J.J. Bleday who allowed a ball to kind of trickle right through his legs, and you could see that the ball was kind of weaving toward him in this kind of odd pattern, and he had no way to track it. Typically the ball just rolls right to you and you got it, but this had a little bounce to it and then a little weave to it and went right through his legs. I'm sorry, that has not happened to J.J. Bleday on a normal field. And the same thing with Leotis Taveras of the Rangers, and that was a crucial moment. That's the error that allowed Schumann to score all the way from first on Luis Urias' single to center field. That ball, again, it was an easy bounding ball for him to field, but it took strange little kind of zigzags just as it got to him, and it went right off his glove. And I know that he was given an error, and I know Bleday was given an error, but I mean, at some point, you're going to have to give those, call those hits, doubles or triples, because just like the sun, if you lose a ball in the sun, that's called a sun hit. Well, you can call this a grass hit, because that grass out there in Sacramento plays strange. Then there's also the wind that played havoc with, as I described with Kurtz on those pop-ups, but the outfielders are finding it treacherous out there themselves. And then there's the sky. On one fly ball that Lawrence Butler hit to left field, the Rangers' left fielder Wyatt Langford lost it completely. Now, the broadcasters said that he had lost it in the lights, but I know for a fact that was not lost in the lights. That was lost in the twilight, in the sky, in the gloam. I can tell you that because on a foul ball my way in the stands down the left field line or the third base side, I never saw the ball, and I looked up and I could not track it. And I was thankful that it went beyond me. But, I'm watching the game closely, and I'm watching for foul balls. I bring my gloves. I'm ready. I'm ready to catch the ball. But I could not see that ball for the life of me. And I looked up at the sky, and I could see there's this strange gloaming up above where the ball just has no offset, nothing to offset it to find it. And that's what happened with Wyatt Langford, and that's what will happen in the future on those kinds of gray days. So that will be something. It'll be interesting to watch, the ballpark quirks, and then of course the heat is coming up, and that will change how players approach the game there. I mean that I think you're going to see. The long ball more, the ball will travel more. But on the other hand, the delta breeze that comes through at night is going to continue to wreak havoc in many different ways. It could wind up saving pitchers with cross currents that knock balls down. So we shall see how it plays in the summertime. Another observation, the stadium is still boasting a lot of empty seats. Well, I say boasting. It is not. It's not a bragging right. It is a really eyesore to see the number of empty seats pronounced in the Texas series, because you just don't have as many transplants from Texas or Arlington in California, and so you didn't see as many road jerseys that you saw in the games when you had the Cubs, Padres, and Mets fans fill up a lot of the seats with their jerseys. But on this occasion in the Texas Rangers series, many hundreds, if not thousands of seats that were empty. What is going on? I will say that I believe that the fan base does not feel connected. I think the fact that the ownership has refused to tap into Sacramento pride is hurting the A's. Sacramento is a city that, first of all, it is a major league city. It's got the Sacramento Kings, and they have shown to be some of the best in all of the NBA, some of the most fervent and avid fans in all of the NBA. And the Sacramento has deeply devoted baseball fans and fans who have deep roots and connections to the A's, yet they are not coming out. I mean, one of the reasons is that the major league prices, the ticket prices are very expensive. Although I have to say, some of my friends are getting tickets at some pretty nice prices. Might be good to take a look at some of the ticket selling sites for some good deals. But then also the parking prices, $35 for parking. I think, and this is, if you had a major league stadium with pride, with a connection to the locals, Sacramento would fill it every night. It would be a wonderful environment, major league environment. But I think fans are expressing their displeasure with the fact that they've been treated as secondhand citizens. The A's are not having the name Sacramento attached to them. They have a little, golden Sacramento bridge, the Tower Bridge on the side of their hat, and that's about it. And then you have Las Vegas, billboards in the outfield and a patch on their uniform. So everybody knows this is temporary. It's a 3-year lease, and the Sacramento fans just are not going to invest their emotional support into this. So I don't know what you do. As an organization, you have 3 years to do this. You can find ways to connect with your fan base. One way is that this team is exciting, and it's young, and it's building something, a possible destiny in the future. And so it could be that just naturally fans will be drawn to this team because of the exciting future that they have. But right now it's such a young team. They started out with a pretty sad sack effort in their first homestand, and first impressions are, they last the longest. And so it might take a little while before the A's fans in Sacramento come around, if they ever do. We'll have to see. Rental status is not something that a fan base enjoys, and to be honest, it is an embarrassment to the league, and it's becoming a topic in all of the baseball circles. If you take a look on social media, everybody's talking about what a mishap the Major League Baseball has performed here in terms of putting their game in a minor league setting and setting them up for failure. So as I said, there's no getting around the fact that they are playing in a minor league setting, a minor league park. It is evident every single game when you see after the game players trekking across the field to go to their clubhouse, whereas in a major league stadium that just is not a thing. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can somehow overcome that. I think a winning product would be the thing that helps them out. But at this point, it's a young team, and nobody's expecting the A's to burst onto the scene as a team of destiny yet. I think the building blocks are there, and if you want to watch a team as they grow, it's a wonderful experience. But so I did want to note that there were some interesting comments about all this from Susan Slusser of the San Francisco Chronicle. She's the beat writer for the Giants right now, but she was a beat writer for the A's for at least 10 years, maybe 15 years, maybe more. She's been on the scene with the A's for a long time, for a generation. And so she was on the podcast Foul Territory, interviewed by A.J. Pierzynski. And she was asked about the situation in Sacramento, and she made it a point to say that Sacramento is a minor league situation and the A's need to get out of it. She said, with new political leadership in Oakland, Oakland just elected Barbara Lee, the former congresswoman, as mayor. The city should try to restart talks to bring the A's back. Now, she faced immediate pushback and immediate backlash on that. And so right away, she clarified on Twitter. She said, quote, very specifically for the interim before Las Vegas. So then it amounted to Susan Slusser saying the A's should go back to Oakland as the interim team before they head back over to Las Vegas, which to me is a proposition that was doomed from the start. Is there really a chance that, first of all, the owner of the A's, John Fisher, would actually take his team back to Oakland, and under what conditions? But so with new political leadership, the question is, what would be in it for Oakland to have the A's come back as an interim team? Why would they accept that? Why would Oakland accept the A's returning to Oakland, but only on the proviso that they would be leaving in 3 years? I don't see any world where that would happen. First of all, the A's fans, would they accept that? I mean, I could see boycotts becoming almost 100% bulletproof. In other words, how many fans would actually show up in Oakland if they knew that this was an interim situation and the bitterness would remain with the owner, John Fisher? So I think Susan Slusser's comments were ill-advised and unfortunate, and they stirred up a pot unnecessarily. I just think that that is a bridge that has been burned, and it is not going to happen. Nobody is going back to Oakland unless there would be a situation in which they would return for good. That's the only way I could see the A's returning to Oakland, and of course that is like almost impossible on the chart of possibilities. It would be zero. The Twitter response was strong and well-informed, with the A's fans chiming in. Here's one from East End Cruz. Here's what he said. He said, Barbara Lee, Oakland's new mayor, DGAF, I will let you try to figure out that acronym, about baseball or sports in Oakland. She was the congresswoman for the district while the Raiders, A's, and Warriors left. What makes you think she'll make the difference as mayor? So, as I said, I think it was unfortunate that Susan Slusser made that comment, and I think she created a storm that had only bad results. So it's too bad. I don't think that's going to happen. But the issue of whether Sacramento can be a good host is still out there, and time will tell, of course. But it has become an eyesore for Major League Baseball. It is sad to say that Sacramento will be seen as the kind of the empty vessel of a major league city, because you know that Sacramento, if they had a major league team, if they had a major league stadium, and they had the commitment for the future, it could be a great major league city. All right, I'm going to close here with Dallas Braden. I'm enjoying listening to him more and more as the color man for the A's. One of my favorite lines of his. Now, of course, I've already mentioned his call on a home run to center field. Stay fair, stay fair. That's a funny one. But then the next one is this one when Mason Miller is pitching and he's throwing a fastball that a hitter basically doesn't swing at. Here's what Dallas Braden will say. He says, "May I help you, Mr. Heim?" No thanks, just looking. So yeah, that all right. Well, that's the Dallas Braden humor, and I thought I entered on that after that kind of that hard and difficult situation that we're facing here in Sacramento and in Oakland. And so that's all I have for today. Thank you for tuning in to Sacramento's Curveballs and Changeups with me, your host, Steve Harmon. You can find Sacramento's best baseball podcast on Apple Tunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts. Please hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when my next podcast is up. Until next time, lay off the slider, low and away.